Tim, thanks for joining me. Now, to start, from a strategic sense, the maiden gold resource for the 7 Litres starter pit represents a critical first plank in Meadowbank's WA gold strategy. So in your view, how important is it to have this in place as a means to expedite Meadowbank's pathway to production next year?
Hi, Alex. Thanks for having me. Look, the mineral resource estimate is always the first priority in these sort of projects. It provides everybody with a certainty of what we've got in the ground. And without that certainty, people could be a little bit unsure. So we expected the resource to be around that 6,000 ounce mark, and we've got a little bit of upside there. The grade's improved and the ore ton's a little bit lower, which is a good point, and it makes for better economics from that point of view. So following on from that, we've raced very quickly into the mine design now that we've got the resource and the production plans, and they're the next critical steps in our approvals process.
Now, Tim, you've emphasised toll treatment and nearby third-party infrastructure. So how does your approach to 7 Litres help minimise upfront capital while still building operational capability for future WA gold assets?
We've always been very pointed in our commentary about Meadowbank having a strategy on focusing with resources that have process plants close by. We don't want to see that we have to put a whole heap of capital into these projects at this early stage. And it also means, obviously, that without having to build a process plant or building a tail storage facility, we can actually reduce that capital incredibly to a much lower level. The startups are faster, the projects are less capital intensive, and that leads to good economics. And then also by minimising site facilities, using contract mining, and in this first instance being close to Kalgoorlie, we have a lot of support capability for our operations. So overall, we see this as a low capital start for us and an opportunity to improve the overall project economics.
Now, Tim, once 7 Litres is in production, how does it practically set MBK up to self-fund exploration and development across Whiteheads, as well as assets like the Homestead and Windsor deposits within the Livingston project?
Our plan has always been to utilise cash flow from production to explore and grow the resource base. That has been a key part of our building blocks and our messaging as we've gone through, and that hasn't changed. We've already commenced planning for our next production source after 7 Litres, so that's the Wynyard deposit at Livingston. The cash flow from 7 Litres is going to allow us to accelerate Wynyard, and that is another low capital resource. It's a relatively small pit, but again, it generates good cash, which then helps us to develop or leads us to develop the Homestead deposit, which is a significantly larger deposit, and also fund the future drilling at Livingston.
And just to finish, Tim, looking beyond the initial 7 Litres resource, how quickly do you think Meadowbank will be able to build the broader resource profile while leveraging nearby exploration opportunities?
We're very optimistic about both Whiteheads and Livingston. We've been quietly reviewing the geology at Whiteheads in the background, and we're seeing opportunities there that others may not have recognised. For example, we've got the Lady Betty and the Lady Geraldine historical mines. They were both reportedly high-grade underground mines back in the early 1900s, and we're now getting a good hold on the structural geology that's been around that area, and it's never been fully modelled before. So that leads us down the path of having the opportunity to focus immediately on building that resource base around 7 Litres and the 2 Ladies, and that's a good start. And then we have the further opportunities at Livingston with the Kingsley deposit, and that already has a 73,000 ounce resource there. So we see overall that with this build-up of cash coming out of the operations, our understanding of the geology, and also that 122,000 ounce resource at Livingston, we really do see a good opportunity for us here.
Thanks, Tim. Really appreciate the update today. All the best for the festive season and look forward to speaking to you again in the new year. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.